Here we've got a photo which is essentially just a nail stuck in a railroad tie. It's actually an old railroad tie that is used as a boundary for a path on this wetlands area south of town. It's maybe 2 city blocks that have been set aside for kind of a mini nature preserve. So we're out there one day walking around at the wetlands. They've got a boardwalk that is maybe 2 feet above the water and some paths like this, some gravel paths. And I noticed on this gravel path that there were these nails poking up. They're not railroad spikes. They're some sort of heavy-duty industrial strength nail, and this one was kind of rusted over. And I thought it'd make a good idea, or I thought it'd make a good photo. So I tried to figure out the best way to take a photo of this. I wanted to get some context. So where is this nail in relation to whatever's around it? And what is the significance of this nail? Why should I be looking at a picture of a nail anyway? There's a couple design choices or photographic choices in making this photo then. I decided I wanted a bit wider depth of field, even though it seems pretty shallow here. I shot at f6.7. Normally I shoot, if you're looking for a really sharp or shallow depth of field, you shoot a little shallower than that, or a little wider aperture than that, like maybe f4 or f2.8. But here, because I was so close to the nail, I was able to shoot at f6.7 and still get a nice shallow depth of field. I shot at ISO 100, and I did that to get the most color information possible. This D200 camera that I shot this with is really good at 100 or 200 ISO. Anywhere beyond that, it starts to lose some of the color information. You get a lot of noise and grain in your photo. But shooting this at 100 meant that I was able to capture the most amount of color information possible, because I thought I might have to do a little bit of work in post in bringing out some of these colors. And again, I don't do this to put stuff in there that's not in there or adjust the photo so that it's doesn't represent reality. I like to make the photos look how I see them in real life. Shooting at ISO 100, though, on this particular day, I think it was getting a little late in the day. There wasn't a whole lot of light left, and so I ended up with a shutter speed of 1/80th of a second, which is fine, except it's not the greatest for minimizing motion blur. Now, if everything was moving, if I was moving around, if there were kids moving around in this photo, then you'd see a lot of blur, or not a lot, but maybe a little bit, or if the wind was blowing. But fortunately, given the conditions, 1/80th of a second was just fine. Then there was the issue of how to frame it from a perspective standpoint. So I wanted to show the path receding in the background, but I wanted the focus not necessarily to be on the path, but on the nail. And I tried a couple different angles, and here I'm like laying down on the ground on this railroad tie, looking at this spike. I probably took about 10 or 15 photos from different angles and from different perspectives, and looking out at different angles of the horizon. Finally settle on this one because I like how the path kind of curves around, and it gives almost a sense that the path is continuing beyond the horizon. It doesn't just go straight back to a point in the horizon, but it kind of continues on. It makes you wonder what is just around that bend. If you look really closely, you can see what is actually a bridge back there. It's this white area right near the top center, just off center on the left-hand side. It's actually a little bridge, a footbridge. And it's kind of cool that you get the sense that here's this rusty nail, this sense of history and time going in this, stuck in the side of this path that is going off into the horizon, and just around the bend you can't really see it. So it kind of makes you wonder what is over there, and how long has this all been there, and where's it all going to go? If this nail is sticking up, it probably wasn't sticking up originally. It was probably pounded in flush with the top of the railroad tie, but somehow over time it has poked up as the weather has caused these ties to expand and contract. So I like that this photo has a bit of a sense of time and history to it. Not like some other photos where you see like a structure that's been there for 1,000 years, but just a little bit of history, that there's something else going on besides just a nail poking up in a piece of wood.